Lately, my wife and I have been talking a lot about how we're thankful that we are pursuing entrepreneurship now rather than later. And it's funny because maybe we're saying that because we're being super successful and we're going to have super successful business guaranteed in the next couple of years. And that's wealth that we're going to have and success. But no, we're not being super successful. And that's why I wanted to make the video now, because at this point, we're feeling a lot of that struggle, a lot of that stress. I want to talk a little bit about why I'm happy I'm pursuing entrepreneurship now rather than waiting later, and why I'm happy that I'm leading my family into this stage of life rather than waiting. There's three big reasons that are, of course, all interrelated, and that's time with family, utter dependence on God and learning more about God and our relationship with Him, and just getting experience now. So the first one, and the major one that really got us thinking in the first place, is that I have more time with my family. So my school that I was working with had 4 months of paternity leave, and that was a gift. After that 4 months, I was like, I just want more of that. I want to be home with my wife and my kids. It's not just like selfishly, I want to be home and want to go on a vacation and want to just sit back and relax. I taught psychology, and I know that these early stages for a child are really important. Developmentally, their personality, their attachment to their parents, these things are all developing within the first few years of life, and that can set the tone for the rest of their life. These early attachments, a lot of studies show that that affects their future relationships, romantic and friendship. So I want to make sure that they have really good attachment, really good personality developing now, so that later they're set up strong. Also, just the stage that they're in, where they're learning, where they need that sense of support, that sense of approval, is right now. So I want to be there to make sure that I'm giving that sense of approval and that they're receiving that from me and not looking elsewhere for that. Another thing is that we're setting a tone now. I talked with a friend of mine, and we kind of talked about how we're locking ourselves in to this standard that we are home with our family. We work from home, we spend time with our family. That way, as our kids grow up, they know, oh, we prioritize family. Family becomes before work. Family comes before school. Family comes before pretty much anything. If later we decide to go work outside of the house, one, it's going to be harder because we're going to have to justify why we're switching that dynamic. But two, as our kids get older and they're going out more, it's going to be more acceptable for us to go out more. And another major thing that I appreciate about working from home is that it's flexible based off our needs. My last work was super flexible, of course, but there's still in the back of my mind that thing of like, well, I'm still skipping work and making someone else work more. But now I'm able to take breaks when I need to take breaks if my wife needs something, or if my kids really need something, or if a friend needs something. Like, we are more free to serve those around us. Granted, that's a battle right now, and that's a struggle that we need to step into because we're also at times in survival mode. And so we're learning to find that balance and saying, okay, yeah, sure, we're in survival mode, but we're still called to serve those around us. So that time with family has been a gift, and it's something we really appreciate about entrepreneurship. Not in the sense that, hey, we could just stay home and we're just relaxing all the time. We work from home and that's so great. No, there's a lot of struggles that go in with that. But just the little moments and the little gifts, it really makes it worth it. Even in our financial stress, even in our business struggles, those little moments that I might miss make it worth it. The second reason that we're really glad we're pursuing entrepreneurship now rather than later is because we're learning a lot about God and we're really purifying our view of God. A big thing when we were considering this was we were praying with like Exodus and going out into the desert and wandering. And we kind of felt that call to like leave Egypt, and we're never going back to Egypt. And that was great in concept, but now we're really in the desert. There's been a lot of times where I don't have a client and we need bills to be paid. And there have been a couple times where our bank account has been zero and we have loan payments to pay back. We have tithing to do still. We have groceries and we have a lot of stuff to do. And there have been times, like I said, that we didn't have the money. So we're in the desert and we're learning, okay, what did it mean when they had exactly what they needed for that day and no more? We're learning to purify how we see the Lord, that He's not just this taskmaster. He's not just the clockmaker. He is actually our Father who sees our every need. And we're growing in that utter dependence of him because there's those times where there's no option but to trust him. There's no option to say, I have tried all that I can do. I've reached out to 10 people. I've scheduled meetings with 5 people. I've had serious conversations about potential clients with 2 people. And there's still no money in our bank account. That's the reality when you're making a business. But the dynamic shift for us is that, okay, Lord, what now? Like, we are utterly dependent on him. And we're learning what that truly means. And I think my wife said yesterday that this has, in some sense, been a mystical experience because we're growing in utter dependence and trust of him. We're learning what it means to have a Father in heaven, what that means to truly trust in him for our every need. And we're kind of in this different reality. Like, my wife was talking about how it's almost as if we're in the wardrobe. Everybody else is in the United Kingdom or England, wherever it is. And we're in the wardrobe. It's a whole different reality. We've stepped into this different space, and that's what we feel right now because we're doing something crazy and different than a lot of people around us into the mainstream culture, but it feels right. It feels right. It feels like we are meant to be here, that this is the reality that we're supposed to be in. And this reality where we're just going to him with our every need, that every day we have to learn to trust in him more, that we have to rely on each other to hold fast to the faith, to remember why we did this in the first place. And it's hard, but it's like our lives have to look different. I remember reading this book last summer or 2 summers ago, Habits for Holiness by Father Mark Mary. And that's something he emphasized a lot, is that our lives as Christians have to look different. We have to live in a different reality. Like, the early Christians were crazy to a lot of early people, but that's also the same reason that the Christian faith grew so quickly and rapidly, is because, like, for example, during plagues, everyone would flee. That makes sense. The Christians would stay. So we feel like we're trying to live that different reality. Instead of fleeing for safety, we're clinging to the sick. And in our example, we're clinging to this idea that we felt God calling us to entrepreneurship, even when it's hard, even when it feels like we're in a desert. And another reason, the final reason kind of, that we're happy that we're pursuing entrepreneurship now rather than waiting until later is because we are learning a lot of lessons. We're cutting our teeth now rather than in 5 years, 10 years. We're gaining a lot of that experience. And that's something we've seen, is that if you want to pursue these things, you need some experience to some degree with all things. Like, if you're going to apply for a job, typically they want to see experience. So if you're going to build a business, typically they want to see experience. And we do have some experience for sure. Like, we've bought a house, we've put work on in a house, we turned it into a profitable Airbnb business, we sold it for sale by owner for a profit. So we have some experience. Eve has a successful business. I have a moderately, at least profitable business because there's not really much expenses that go into it. So we have some experience here and there, but we're gaining that experience. Like, right now, we're actually looking at buying a $1.7 million wedding venue business. It's already got a turnkey business. And we're talking to investors, and that's something we're hearing more, is that, like, well, it's not likely that an investor is going to say yes to this maybe because you don't have experience. So right now we're gaining that experience so that rather than in 5 years when we're okay, we're ready to buy a business or build some on land, whatever it is, then like, okay, well, you still don't have experience, so we still aren't going to invest. So it's like, okay, now we need to build that experience. So right now we're cutting our teeth right now. With that, there's lots of failures that we're learning from. We're learning what it takes to run a business successfully. Eve's been going at this for a couple of years now. So we've learned from that. And now I've been building my own business for the past few years. And I'm learning from that. I'm learning what works, what doesn't work, what type of clients to reach out to, how to filter those out, what is the good systems in place. I'm learning a lot of things, and we're learning, okay, what works and what doesn't work. So that later down the line, when we're pursuing something bigger, we learn from our failures and we know, okay, no, don't do that. That didn't work last time. Let's do this instead. And we're more likely to have that success later down the line because we're learning the failures now in some sense where it's a little lower stakes. And with that failure is the flip side. When we do have victories, our gratitude is increasing even in the small victories. Like, my wife makes a course sale for a couple $100 and we're like, wow, that is such a blessing. We just got a couple $100 that we didn't have before. That's a blessing. Or if I get someone that reaches out to me and says, hey, I'm interested in a website, that's a blessing. Even if they don't lead to a client, which is hard, I'm still thankful that someone was interested in my services. So when you don't have a lot and you're willing to open up your dynamic to be thankful for those little things, then our gratitude is going to increase. And hopefully later down the line, when we are being blessed more and more financially in business and we're a bit more secure in that sense, hopefully we still have this spirit of gratitude and we don't just take it for granted. Because I think it's easy to take for granted what we have. A well-paying job, a house over our head, clothes and food, all these little things that we were taking for granted even. We're now growing in that gratitude. And all of that, the past 2 points and this point, is that we're getting unmatched experience. Like, this is irreplaceable experience. The fact that we're just like poor and we need it and we're grinding and we're trying and we're sad and depressed one day and on cloud nine another day, we're finding that middle ground. We're finding, well, okay, what is the Lord calling us to and how does that work? And that's why I'm thankful. Because yeah, it's hard and it's scary at times. It seems foolish to a lot of people, maybe even. It seems like we're being immature and we're being flighty. And that would be the case if we weren't listening to God. If we didn't feel like God was calling us to this. And something that I've rested in is that, okay, maybe we were wrong. Maybe I wasn't supposed to leave Jesuit. Maybe we weren't supposed to move to the Woodlands. Maybe I wasn't supposed to start a website design business. Maybe we weren't supposed to do X, Y, Z. That's a possibility, but we are doing it because we believe God called us to. And I think, and I know, that God is the type of father that even if we were wrong, he loves his children, and he's going to help us get to the right path. And he's going to respond to our faith and to our yes. Maybe not in the way we think or we want, but he's going to provide for us and he's going to bring us to what is best for us. And that leaves me in this place at the end of the day where even if it's stressful and I don't have clients and we don't have money in our bank account and we have bills coming up and we have no idea what life's going to look like in a month, I can rest at peace because Jesus is providing. Our Father is telling us what to do and we're led by the Spirit and all these things. So that kind of leaves me with this, like, what are you doing to pursue your scary goals? Because I think we all have these big, scary dreams, these God-sized dreams that we think are impossible and that we often push away. But what are you doing now to take action towards that? Because I think there are more of us than we think. And I think we need each other to help us, other people like-minded that help supporting us in this crazy dream. Is that you need the community. So if you're somebody that is pursuing some dumb, scary, foolish dream, please join me on this journey so you can have that support. We can support each other.